Welcome back, Planet Earth, to All the Cars I've Loved Before, your authoritative podcast on life lessons through cars and, where automotive history and American history meet your history. But guess what? Our listenership, because you can't see me, I'm having a bad hair day, which is a good thing, all over the world, which we will get into in a moment. And real happy to have today's guest with us, and we'll introduce him in just a moment. But before we get underway here, let me introduce my partner in crime, Mr. Doug, which is the smarter half of the two of us, but I think I edge him on the hair, even on a bad hair day. How you doing, partner? How you doing, pal?
Doing great. Good to be back here with you.
Always. And hey, I just wanted to, before we get into today's episode, I want to bounce over to some of our
stats
data here. The stats
data analytics.
It's statistics. The stanalytics is what I like to call it. But anyway, favorite thing behind the scenes, this is not really published anywhere. This is very super secret information. I guess it sort of makes me a spy, but for our last 5 episodes, top countries and territories where we're listened to, United States, overwhelmingly, not surprising. I'm in the Southeast United States, in the Republic of Florida. Doug is in the Mid-Atlantic here. So, okay, United States, right? But did you know, I'm going to go in descending order. We have listeners. Guess who's in the 2 spot? You got any idea, Doug?
Canada.
It's a large continent in the southern hemisphere, and Crocodile Dundee is there, and he's probably our listener. It's Australia. So in the 2 spot is Australia, Germany. Yeah, so this is widening. The depth, breadth, and scope is widening here. Then Sweden, Argentina. I'm sure that's Lionel Messi is checking us out. Norway, Canada. All right. So for you hockey fans, Nepal. We get listened to in Nepal, rooftop of the world with the prayer flags. How you like that? Netherlands and India round us out. So, hey, if you're listening in these places, thank you for listening. If you're in these places, want to be on the show, guess what? We are just a few electrons away. Christian at carslove.com. Doug at carslove.com. Check us out online, carslove.com. By the way, we're getting a lot of traffic there too, partner. I see that's a lot of people just get the episodes from there, which really kind of surprised me as we move forward in this whole endeavor to see people just get it, right from the site as opposed to a podcast streaming platform. But, Doug is always under the hood of the website, changing the oil and, getting the timing on the spark plugs, right? So any updates to the marketing? He's kind of our chief marketing officer. I know we're going to talk about fan mail here for a minute, but I was just going to say, if you're in any of those countries and want to be on the show, hey, just reach out. Just shoot us an email and we make it easy. Talk to any of our guests, and it's relatively painless, and we haven't lost a patient yet. So what do you say to all that, Doug? Anything
Indeed.
to add?
Yeah, no harm, no foul. Yeah, we'd love to have people from all over. We'd love to hear the feedback from people in other countries. Are we talking about interesting cars and great stories, and do they resonate?
Yeah. And I like hearing what, people grow up overseas. What was that like? What'd you drive? What's the car culture? And so, we're always looking for international guests to be part of the conversation. Speaking of, I'm real excited to meet our guest here, Joe, today. And for introductions, I'm going to pass the baton into the gently outstretched hand of Mr. Doug.
Yeah. So Joe and I go way back, so far back, older than over half of our age. So
you've known him longer than me, actually, and that takes some.
I have. Yeah. Probably go back to middle school with Joe, but
really.
But yeah,
oh, wow.
Yeah. And okay. Joe is born and bred, I believe, in Annapolis, Maryland, right, Joe?
Yep, I was born downtown Annapolis in the hospital that's now condos.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And Joe's, I think you've lived here your whole life, right?
Yeah, I spent, I think, 5 years in Florida, on and off. Yep. But majority of my time definitely in Annapolis.
Yep. Same here. Yeah, and Joe. Joe's a big car guy, going back to his father, maybe even farther back than that. And yeah, Joe, we're super happy to have you on the show and just hear about some of your cars.
Yeah, where do you want to start?
Yeah.
What do you think, Christian? The first?
Well, I always first off, where in Florida were you, or did you just kind of bounce around?
My father retired in 1987.
Okay.
And we moved to Cocoa Beach. So I lived in Cocoa Beach for about a year and a half. And we came back. Then once I finished school and after I worked as a mechanic in Annapolis, I moved to Fort Lauderdale and then South Beach and then St. Petersburg.
Oh, man, you got the whole Florida experience.
Yeah.
Right.
I was in Fort Lauderdale in the days of the candy store was still there at the Belly Flop Tower.
Oh,
which is a long time ago.
I dig that. Thank you for sharing that. All right, man. So that's a true Florida experience there. So yeah. So what we like to do typically on the show is kind of start with your first car and sort of. So what was your first car? And then if you need to, you could take a step back even further. We've had some guests talk about, hey, before I even drove, I was getting my fingers black and greasy with my dad, my big brother, with my, somebody showed me. So where does it start for you? Might be the best place to begin.
So my grandfather used to race cars, and he passed away when I was 10. But he first got me into cars. And so I would go to his house in the summers and mess around in the garage with him. And then I drove my first car when I was probably about 12 with my dad. He had a C10 Chevy pickup, the predecessor to what they call the square body now. One before that, it was like a 1970, 72 or something. And that was when I first drove a stick shift with that truck. But my first car I ever owned, I never had it registered, but I had a 72 Beetle that I bought from a neighbor. And I literally just drifted it in my parents' driveway. We had a dirt driveway, and I wore ruts into the driveway. I bought it when I was 14. The first car I ever drove with legal tags on it that was mine was a 71 Volkswagen Camper.
I love that. Okay, so we're going to dig into the VW branch in your family tree, or trunk, as it were, in your case. So let's go back to your grandfather. What do you remember? Do you remember? You didn't know. You said he passed on when you were 10, but I'm curious about.
He raced in a NASCAR regional series somewhere in Pennsylvania in the it's the late 1950s. And then he had a really bad wreck, and my grandmother wouldn't let him race anymore.
Oh, wow.
So
now so you didn't see him race. This predated.
No, we had pictures. Yeah. My grandmother had pictures of his cars and stuff. But he worked for Ford. He was a World War II vet, spent 4 years in the South Pacific, and came back and worked as a Ford mechanic the rest of his life.
Gotcha.
Nice. Okay. So it was the NASCAR was just kind of a hobby, if you will?
Yeah, it was. Nobody back then did it for a living. It wasn't. Right. You didn't make enough money to live. It cost you a lot of money to do it back then.
Yeah. Maybe he had some sponsorship from Ford, perhaps.
I don't know. Maybe his mother or something. He was really close to his mother. She maybe paid him. I don't know. Okay. I don't know a lot about it. I just know there were pictures of it, and that he raced NASCAR years before, 15 years before I was born.
Nice. And your father probably got the bug from him?
No, because it was on my mom's side.
I see.
So my father was a lot older. He was born in 32, and his father drove a Model T across country before there was a national highway system.
Oh man, I've heard about that. I've heard about that. That was a big promotion to get cars. It'll make it.
And it took a month or something. It was I've done it once, and we took 5 days towing a boat across the country. But it took them about a month in a Model T. And that had to be, I don't know, probably in the 20s.
Yeah, I would say probably 20s.
Early 20s.
At the latest, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Yep.
So the car thing goes back in my family a lot.
Yeah. Think of the adventures, everything that you just mentioned. All the adventures, the lore. Yeah, all about family. Okay, so I didn't mean to derail the conversation, but it's a core competency, as I say. So back to the VW here. You were about to talk about the Squareback, did you say?
No, I had a 71 Westfalia Campmobile.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, that was I don't know. I was into Volkswagens, and my dad had a friend at work that was selling it. I think we paid $800 for it. And I drove it for, I think, 2 years. And then I money shifted the motor and bent all the valves in it. And
So this was your high school?
Yeah, I had it my sophomore year of high school. I drove that, maybe sophomore into my junior year of high school. And then I blew the motor up one day. And then my sister at the time was a Deadhead, and she had a friend who was going on tour. And he bought it from me, put a motor in it, left. And then I got a phone call, obviously at my parents' house. And he's like, hey, calling from a payphone. Hey, I broke down in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I have to leave it here because I can't miss the next show. If you want, I'll mail you the title and you can come get it.
What?
This is what the guy said. And I was like, dude, I'm like 17. How am I going to come to Albuquerque, New Mexico and tow a Volkswagen home to Annapolis? So that one, I don't know where it is. It's probably sitting on the side of the road in the desert somewhere.
He might still be waiting for you. I don't know.
I don't know. I never heard from the guy again.
He still might be passed out.
Yeah, that was the beginning and end of my first car, and I had a lot of good times in that car.
I was just about to say, yeah, you're let's not bury that lead. So you must have been the party bus in high school.
Not really. We didn't party with it much. I mean, I wasn't at all a Deadhead or hippie type person, but I know we had a lot of fun, sliding it around in the snow. And
for sure,
I know I could only go over 60 miles an hour if I got about 10 feet behind a semi truck going downhill, and then I could get about 75. But it was really cool. It had a fold down bed in the back. The pop topped up. It had a
top, right.
Yeah, it had the little one bed up there, and then it had a tent that hooked to the side, and had a giant VW symbol on it. And apparently, those are super valuable and rare now, and I have no idea. Like when I sold the thing, how valuable those would be down the road.
Who knew? What color was it, Joe? Was it brown?
It was white.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my memory's failing me, but
I had a brown one at one point too. But
maybe that's what I'm thinking.
It wasn't a camper, and it was a newer one.
Yeah, I think it was more this squared one, right?
Yeah, it was a modern Vanagon.
Yeah.
So how did you guys meet? Was it high school or was it middle school?
I heard middle school.
Middle school. Yep.
Yeah.
You guys had classes together, or you would geek out over.
Well, we didn't have a really big school. I think our graduating class was only 300 people or 350 people.
Yeah.
So it's not like we had 1,000. Everybody knew everybody back then.
Yep. Yeah. It was easy. Now I think the graduating class is like over 500.
Oh yeah, I'm sure at least that.
Yep. Yeah. And so, so we know what happened to the Volkswagen, right? And not your first Volkswagen, probably not your last, as you have a story. But after you kind of wrecked the engine, sold it to the Deadhead, what'd you move on to?
So my dad had bought my sister this really nice Oldsmobile Delta 88 convertible. It was baby blue with a white interior. And my sister was a bit of a train wreck in high school. So she would forget to put the top up, and it got rained in a bunch of times.
Oh, no.
She would run it out of gas and call my dad and have to bring her gas. So finally he was like, no, you can't have this car. And he gave it to me and gave her like a Honda or some little piece of crap. Yeah. So that's the car I had when I graduated high school into college. And that car was really cool. It was big. I think we could put like 11 people in it, I mean, it was and it was fast. It was fast for me back then.
Had a 350, right?
Yeah, but they had what they call a rocket motor, 350 rocket motor, which had aluminum tappets, and I think it was about 700 RPM higher red line than a standard small block Chevy.
Nice.
And it had a turbo 400 in it, so you could really get on it.
Yep.
Without destroying things.
Yeah, and it was a convertible.
Yeah.
It was.
Oh yeah.
It was as big as a whale, right?
It was massive.
Yeah.
I think it was about 18 feet long.
Yeah,
and it got on a good day. On a good day, I got 9 miles per gallon.
On a bad day, he didn't check.
Yeah, well, I didn't pay for gas, so I didn't care.
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah, gotcha. And so your dad gave you that car because your sister wasn't being responsible with it.
Yeah.
Did that go over well with your sister?
Oh no, she's still mad about it.
Still to this day.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Did she drive a convertible now, or did she learn her lesson? Did she feel like she had to redeem herself? No.
She's never owned a cool car since. She's always had little crossover SUV things, like a Nissan Pathfinder, or I think she drives a RAV4 now.
It's wise to know yourself. Wise to know yourself. Good on her for sure. Okay.
Yeah, and so Joe, we were talking before the show. You currently own about 8 cars.
Yeah,
if I have my numbers right.
Yeah, today I own about 8. Yep. I mean that includes my wife's minivan and my daily driver Toyota Sequoia. I tell everybody if you're gonna have one car, own a Toyota.
Yep, that's the one that doesn't need any work, right? Or minimal.
You could just ignore them and they just run.
Yeah. Yeah, and you just built a 1,000 square foot garage. I think you were telling us.
Yep.
And for your car projects, and to do some work on other people's cars as needed.
Yep. It was a big process.
I bet. Now, how do things fit in the garage? Are they kind of parked around the perimeter? Are you putting in a lift?
Yeah, I put in pads when I built it for a lift.
Okay.
I don't have the lift in yet, but my garage, it's got a 20-foot door on the front and a 10-foot door on the back, so you can actually pull through it.
Oh, I like that.
So, because it's in normal speak, it's in the front of the house because I live on the water. So the garage is between the street and the house. So you can't see my house when you pull up, which is really nice. So it's just, you just see a garage when you pull my driveway.
I like that.
Garage.
You can tell where your heart is.
Garage full of cars. So some of these cars have been barn finds, right, Joe?
Yeah.
Field find was his word, which I love.
I have a 62 Beetle that a mutual friend of ours, James McCrae.
Yeah.
So he owns a restoration business in Easton.
He does.
Right? So he restores cars. He's worked with the North Street Garage in Easton. I think they're maybe in Oxford, doing some Bugatti restoration work. And so he found this car. He's like, "Hey, you might want this car." The local guy who used to work for a Volkswagen dealership over there, and who had owned it since new and had given it to his son. And the son, it ended up having a bent pushrod. That's why it was parked. And it had been sitting in this field for about 15 years. And we went over with his trailer and pulled it out of the ground. It was literally buried to the floor in the dirt. And so that's my next project in the queue when I finish the current one I'm working on.
Okay, so what is going to need to excuse me, pardon me. What is going to need to be done to that car? Obviously, yank the upholstery. Is there rust on the floor?
The funny thing is the upholstery is perfect in the car. There's just no floor.
How can that be?
No idea. So the car was an anthracite gray car. It had been painted primer gray over the anthracite paint, and it looks like a patinaed out rat rod right now. And I think that's the route I'm going to go with it. put a new pan under the thing essentially, and I'm going to do an electric conversion with it. So it'll do 100 miles an hour, and it'll have a 90-mile range with the kit that EV West sells. So that's my current plans with it, because to get the same performance, I'd need to spend about $20,000 and build a turbo motor, and then it would be completely unreliable and obnoxiously loud and require lots of maintenance, and it wouldn't go with that.
Gotcha. So that was the thought process. So that's really, now you don't own any other electric cars, but have you had experiences?
No. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I have a lot of guys I know with Teslas, and a friend of mine just bought a Hummer truck, the Hummer EV.
Yep.
And that's an insane thing too.
Nice. So, and is there anything you won't do on cars, Joe, or you can't? Because it seems like there's.
Well, the guy's got no time.
I can't do alignment.
Okay. So you'll do body work. Do you paint?
No, I mean, I can. I don't, because it's not good to do it in your garage.
Yep.
But I have a good friend who is a painter who can do all my paint work for me.
Okay. I need his number.
Okay.
I've got a 9300 ZX that is 5 different colors.
What color did it start out?
Black.
Yeah. You forgot.
But it kept getting hit on my narrow street.
I know the feeling, because I have a black Mazda. It's been hit Doug's 3 times on one side.
Yeah. But Doug's a mad scientist. He likes to get in his garage and play and experiment with different wraps and yeah, man. I mean, it's
not at Joe's level, but yeah. So we're around the same age. So obviously, 80s and 90s cars are probably your favorites, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what I own, that's most of what I own is 80s and 90s stuff.
Yeah,
you can still work on them. My last, I had a 2010 BMW 530 that was just my daily driver, and they had a service bulletin that was never sent to me about clogging sunroof drains, and the spare tire well filled up and destroyed the body control module and about 6 other modules. And that was an eye opener on modern cars to avoid them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was a known flaw. And they, I bought all the modules online and installed them myself, but then I still ended up having to pay $700 or $800 to get the whole thing coded to the car.
Golly.
So right.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
so
BMW.
Yep. Well, it comes down to the whole right to repair movement, which is really, a big thing that really angers me.
Yep. No, I'm with you. Do you know about that, Christian? The right to repair movement?
Yeah, I've just been reading in the news recently about that. There are laws in states, and they're pressing for, because when you talk about, there's almost a freedom of information piece there too.
Yes. Well, I think the biggest group of people it affects are the farmers, right? Who say you have 1,000-acre, 1,500-acre farm, and there's 10 of those farms in one area in the middle of Ohio or Idaho or wherever, Iowa cornfields, and there's only one John Deere tech, and it's harvest season, and you got to get that corn out of the ground. And
good point.
Your really $1 million combine goes down, and you can't fix it yourself because you can't plug the diagnostics into it, right? It's a real issue with those guys. I mean, the car guys and stuff, it's just kind of like, oh, I'd like to do it, change my own battery without paying BMW $100 to code the car to it. But for the farmers, it's kind of like, it's like you got to get your crops out of the ground before they spoil. And sometimes, that equipment goes down and they can't fix it.
Yep. No,
it's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that. That's a really interesting argument. Yeah. And, on these BMW products, you just said something that reminded me. My oldest son's first car was a mini BMW product, and drove me nuts. Having to go get a battery, but you can't just, like on my Acura, you can't just sort of throw the battery in there and walk away. Now it's got to be
They have that intelligent battery sensor.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's right. That's right. And so, an additional complication or dependency, as it were, which to me means dollar signs. So, it is what it is, right? Makes the world go round. So,
BMW,
go ahead.
BMW got around the antitrust implications of that by offering you a free, basically a dial-up service. You could plug your laptop in, and it would take about 20 hours to code it yourself.
What? Really?
Yeah. So that was how they got around it.
What a good nugget! Great nugget.
So, but I'm done. I'm done with BMW products now.
Okay. So we just lost our sponsorship with BMW. Yeah. Okay. But great nugget.
That's it.
Great nugget.
So
for sure.
So I did want to ask Joe, like one of my favorite cars that you own that I haven't seen, but I always wanted one is the Chrysler Conquest.
Yeah, that's a cool car.
And you've still got the graphic equalizer, right?
Oh yeah, it's got it all. It's got the seat belts that run up the window.
Yep. The seat belts.
Yeah. And it makes turbo noises, and
it's pretty fast, right?
Yes. If you're not used to really new fast cars, it seems really fast. It's got a boost gauge that goes up. It only makes 6 pounds of boost with a stock turbo and the stock wastegate, and it's bone stock. It's only got 90,000 miles on it.
Yeah, and that car is red or black?
No, it's white with a red interior.
Okay, that's what.
What year, Joe?
It's an '89. It's the last year they made it. It's the SHP, so it has they call it special handling package. So it has 8-inch wheels in the front, 9-inch in the rear.
Nice.
So it's got staggered 16-inch wheels. It's really hard to find tires for it. But I redid the whole car during COVID. So
I remember the picture.
Didn't work for 4 months. I sat at home for 4 months and went through the whole thing. I bought every single replacement part for the suspension and engine. Everything got replaced. It's like a new car now. It runs perfect.
Yeah, no, it's
dang.
It's cool that you still have access to it, yet you sold it to your friend.
Right. Yeah.
yeah. But what's been your favorite car? I mean, there's been so many. Whether it's one you own now or one you've had.
Well, I think my favorite car is sitting right in front of me, and it's my '94 Miata I bought for my 30th birthday.
Nice.
So I've had it for 21 years now.
Yeah. Wait, what color is it?
It's black.
Okay. My 94 was black too.
With the tan leather interior and tan top.
Yep.
How often do you drive it, Joe?
Same here.
I haven't driven it much this year because it has I got to take the fuel tank out. Oh, I got to take the fuel pump out. The fuel pump is, when it gets warm, it starts getting loud and intermittently not working. So it starts idling badly. But it's a kind of pain in the ass because it has a roll cage in it to get to the fuel pump. So I haven't messed with it.
Gotcha. Wow. Yeah. No, it's funny. I was looking at buying like a 95, and the guy let it sit because the fuel pump went out.
Yeah.
And so it's not far from my house, so it's tempting.
Without the roll bar, it's about a 10-minute job.
Yeah. He was like, yeah, it's like $2,000. I'm like, how can that be?
No, it's not. It's $100 pump.
I know. I hope he's not listening.
Yeah, if you have a BMW guy do it, add in the dial up. Good grief.
Yeah. Got to find a landline.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and your wife's been very supportive of your hobby, right?
Yeah, she likes cars too.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
we've gone to Barrett Jackson auction together and looked at stuff, and she supports me 100% with my stupid car stuff.
Yeah. What's her favorite car?
That's
if we had to ask, would it be the Miata?
I don't know what she. Probably the Porsche, because it had CarPlay.
Nice. That's a good reason. So on that note, you have a 04 911 convertible. It's let's see, it's a 6-speed. I'm sure.
Yep, 6-speed manual.
Yeah.
Silver, black interior.
Yep, I've seen it. I've seen it on St. Margaret's Road. So yeah. With your license plate.
Yep.
Big boy.
Yep.
Well, Joe, we as they say, pictures or it didn't happen. So we got to see some pictures of this garage when you get it squared away. Are you? Look at, he's in it now. Look at this. This is like Jay Leno's garage. Look at this.
I know. Oh, he's killing me.
No, look at
mini
you.
truck.
I'd never leave. That is fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing that, Joe. Yeah, if you could, love to get pictures of that and throw them up on the website. But wow.
Sure.
So you said that it's not done, but it looks in a state of finish. I mean, you said you have to.
It's the electrical's only roughed in now.
Okay.
We're doing a Mr. Cool mini split system in it.
Yep.
Air conditioning and heat, and then we're gonna finish 2 of the walls, and I'm gonna hang some TVs and have a couch in here. And
see, we're never gonna see. You'll never see this guy again. He's never gonna leave the garage.
Well, I'm gonna invite myself over his house now, but I'll I'll bring my DeLorean over.
Now that's a car I've never driven.
All right, it could happen.
Sounds like you guys. Yeah, sounds like a pleasant afternoon spent together. Well, I tell you what, Joe, it was great meeting you. Thanks for sharing some stories from your past, and hey, thanks for having us in your garage as well as our listenership. So by association, there's an Argentinian, a German, a Denmark, and Australian who's just who are all hanging out in your garage together. So thank you for having us, and we appreciate your time, bud.
Yeah, and I'll share this to all my friends around the world. So
yeah, please do.
You have friends and listeners all over the world. So yeah, as always, look at the time. I mean, half hour in the books. Really pleasant walking down memory lane with Joe, making a new friend. And Doug, is this okay if we could mention fan mail one more time? Again, feel free to reach out. Go ahead.
Yeah, so fan mail is a new feature on our podcast platform. So you'll see a link if you look in the show notes. It'll say, click here to contact Christian and Doug. It's literally a text message. So love to hear feedback. Super easy. No email required. Email us too if you like.
Roger that. So as always, follow the show, download the episodes. You never know when you'll get caught not having access to some sort of cell tower. So download the episodes, follow. Let us know what you think. Leave us a review. Positive ones help us. If it's negative, just email that to us. How about that? We got a deal. So anyway, hey, that's this week's show.
It's a wrap.
Yeah,
Season 2.
That's it. We'll bookend it. Thanks, Joe. Great meeting you, pal. All right.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, we'll see everybody next time on To All the Cars I've Loved Before, carslove.com. Check us out, your streaming platform of choice. Take care.
Take care.